Hello, and welcome to our webinar, LogicMonitor, more than a monitoring platform, a true channel partner. I'm your host, Katie Bavoso from the Channel Company. More so than ever, businesses are working from distributed locations and need to support hybrid environments, and that trend isn't slowing down. Research shows that by 2022, 90% of enterprises around the world will use a mix of on-premise and multi-cloud environments to meet their infrastructure needs. But with growing complexity across dispersed locations and platforms, businesses are finding it difficult to seek clarity and efficiently monitor activity. That's why thousands of enterprises, managed service providers, and partners turn to LogicMonitor to seamlessly monitor everything from networks to applications and the cloud, empowering companies to focus less on problem solving and more on innovation. For more on this, I'm now joined by Vice President of MSP Sales at LogicMonitor, Michael Tarbett, and Chris Black, Chief Technology Officer of CDI, a LogicMonitor partner. Welcome to both of you, and thanks so much for being here today. Let's get started with part one of our webinar, Get to Know LogicMonitor. So Michael, let's start with you because I have a feeling you're the man for this first question. Let's first get to know a little bit about LogicMonitor. Tell us about your company. What challenges are you out to help partners and end users solve? And how long has LogicMonitor been operating in the channel?
Well, first off, thank you, Katie, and it is a pleasure to be with you today. And I also want to thank Chris Black and our fantastic customer CDI for joining us as well. LogicMonitor just celebrated our 13th year in business as the only hybrid infrastructure monitoring platform that's both cloud-based and fully automated. About 600 channel partners across the US, EMEA, and APAC trust LogicMonitor today to power their infrastructure monitoring. And this includes managed service providers of all sizes to some of the largest of the global outsourced system integrators. Our partners come to us really for one core reason, and that's because they're looking to displace legacy tooling for a modernized next generation solution, or they're looking to include us in new digital transformation initiatives around AI ops, around observability, and other key insights that really drive their end customers' business.
Very well said. Next question for you, Michael. What is LogicMonitor's greatest differentiator and why?
Yeah, it's a good question, but I think the answer is found in really understanding the environment that we see and our customers see happening. Our partners are operating in this environment that's driven by the speedy acceleration of modern technologies and the need for streamlined IT functions. And our partners are looking for better observability into their own environments, but more specifically into their customer environments. And there are a number of key differentiators our partners experience with LogicMonitor. First is our ability to see the health of the services that really drive the business. So think about monitor more. LogicMonitor monitors everything everywhere from on-premise to private to public cloud with the flexibility to collect and display data from virtually any type of device or monitoring scenario. For instance, it's not uncommon that by using LogicMonitor, our partners retire numerous legacy and on-premise based tools to gain that single pane of glass to run their operations. The second reason our partners choose us is that we become their next generation or future-proof operations platform to handle complex hybrid infrastructure environments. And specifically to our managed service providers, we were built for the client experience. Granular role-based access controls, easy to customize dashboards, user-friendly reporting and analytics, rich data insights allow our customers to begin their journey into AI ops. Third, and this is key, is speed. And Katie, I want you to think about acceleration of deployment and services. Think about getting to better experiences faster. Think about self-service and the ability to drive engaging conversations with your customers. LogicMonitor moves very quickly in our deployments by using a small and intelligent collector that allows our partners to put eyes on target and begin seeing customer environments almost instantaneously. With thousands of pre-built, pre-configured technology modules, our partners can easily operate on behalf of their customers and drive real insights and value for them. And finally, our customers are pushing the boundaries of automation, looking to automate as much of the end-to-end IT operation processes as possible. And our customers leverage the power of automation to help them achieve more efficient KPIs, to help them scale their managed services practice, and find areas where processes and steps can be streamlined with the power of an API-driven platform like ours. LogicMonitor and our customers leverage over 2,000 pre-built technology integrations to other platforms such as ServiceNow, Slack, Teams, Ansible, Chef, and many, many others that help them drive that automation. I would say those are some of the key reasons, Katie.
Many key reasons, but all very good ones. Michael, thank you so much. That brings us right into our second topic, LogicMonitor, a successful choice. Chris, we're going to bring you into the conversation. Thank you so much for being here today. First of all, tell me about CDI, the types of clients that you typically serve, and what those clients expect from you as a service provider.
Well, thank you for having me today, Katie, and thank you, Michael, for inviting me as well. CDI has been a partner of LogicMonitors for many, many years now, and it's been a good relationship on both sides of the fence. Historically, clients would have to look at 5 to 7 to 8 different integrators and VARs and MSPs to pull together the different areas of modern IT operations, cloud integration, security services, infrastructure services, and digital workflow. And CDI has built over the years an organization that is able to seamlessly deliver upon all of those different areas of operational and digital transformation for our clients, leveraging LogicMonitor as one of those core pillars to enable us to do that for our clients. In addition, CDI focuses in on 6 main areas from an IT infrastructure perspective. We start with the hybrid cloud infrastructure. We layer security on top. And then we also specialize in app modernization, intelligent operations, digital workflow, and digital workspace, allowing our clients to communicate internally and externally with their partners to drive the value to their organization as well as their clients.
Now, Chris, how long have you been a partner of LogicMonitor, and why did you ultimately choose this vendor?
So CDI and myself personally has been a partner of LogicMonitor for going on 7 years now.
Yeah.
Over half of the life of LogicMonitor, I've been a partner of theirs. So we had partnered with them. LogicMonitor was one of the few platforms that allowed me to provide a secure, private, multi-tenant monitoring infrastructure platform that we could drive value to our clients on. So as an MSP, I need to be able to deliver the same consistent, predictable results to our client, irrespective of where their applications may live. And as organizations continue to decentralize, and the term I use, and I made it up, so it's not really a word, and I get it, but as organizations continue to SaaSify their application stack and push to the public cloud or the public provider or the private provider that is providing SaaS-based applications to their client, LogicMonitor and CDI gives our clients the flexibility to pivot as the application stack and the business continues to transform. So we've taken clients that had on-premise needs where we've done the traditional 3-tiered architecture, and it is what it is, and it's the same thing for the past 25 years. And as they move to a SaaS offering, we've just repointed their application stack, their infrastructure, their policies, their procedures, the way we run them on a day-to-day consistent basis to another application stack, and they continue to get the same value or better value for their end users.
So Chris, tell me, how has LogicMonitor helped you transform your customers' businesses, and how does it continue to help you drive innovation, especially nowadays when innovation is almost every day?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because LogicMonitor is one of the 4 key partners that CDI has from a software and an infrastructure integration perspective. So we work with Salesforce, ServiceNow, LogicMonitor, and Splunk are the big 4. And we've spent a lot of time and a lot of resources and a lot of research over the past several years of developing the workflows and the integrations across the entire stack to allow our clients to operationally transform their environment. I know everyone talks about a digital transformation, but as an operations and an infrastructure company, we can help them with their operational transformation. One of the examples that we use is LogicMonitor creates the urgency alerts within the infrastructure itself, whether we're talking about preset thresholds or dynamic thresholds. Both options are great, but they provide a different solution. When we integrate that directly in from LogicMonitor to ServiceNow through the CMDB integrations that we have set up through the APIs, and now we're e-bonding with our clients from a ticketing perspective, their client now has the ability to change the impact of an asset. We control the urgency of an alert, and therefore jointly between our clients and CDI, we're creating a flexible matrix around the prioritization of remediation efforts that have to happen on their behalf. So it's enabled us to have conversations over the electronic media without actually having to pick up the phone and go, well, this switch in this wiring closet, how important is it to you? So it's enabled that speed and that agility over time, and it's been great.
It sounds like it. And yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you're not unplugging or unswitching any of those switches that don't need it. So thank you for that, Chris. So next question, tell me, how scalable and efficient is LogicMonitor's platform, and how does that help you win more opportunities with customers?
Part of the partnership with CDI and LogicMonitor, we work together and we push LogicMonitor to be a better monitoring and alerting platform. And I believe LogicMonitor pushes us to be a better MSP. And, we're constantly bouncing ideas off of each other. And one of the areas that, I can remember pounding my hand on the desk many years ago was talking about anomaly detection within the platform itself. So we weren't just worried about static thresholds, but we were looking at when there are deviations to normal in an environment, being able to generate alerts and actionable items within the infrastructure, therefore eliminating false positives and the Christmas tree effect within the NOCs. So one of the things that we've done is we've gone through and worked with LogicMonitor to create these dynamic thresholds that allows us to take an organization, and when we first onboard them, I explained to them that we're going to go through 3 phases of the onboarding process, specifically whether it's LogicMonitor or ServiceNow or Salesforce, it doesn't really matter, right? So we're going to onboard the client, and the first 30 days will be a little bit of disorganized chaos. We're starting to get to know you. We're getting to understand what your environment is. We're starting to know what normal looks like to you. And then in conjunction with them, we work with the client and the flexibility in the LogicMonitor platform to create some organization out of their IT assets, creating dynamic groupings based upon either operating systems, physical locations, business urgency, or application stacks. And then that third 30 days allows us to really create some operational efficiencies from an escalation, from a monitoring, from a problem management, allows us to narrow down where the noisy neighbors are or where the top talkers are within an environment. Some of the innovations that have come along the way with the LM logs and being able to integrate log monitoring directly into the platform. So not only am I getting an alert, but now I'm getting an alert that's correlated directly to the events that are pre and post the event, tying that into our ServiceNow from a CMDB so we can see the historical trends and who the asset owner is and what the physical locate. All of those integrations have gone such a long way in helping us drive efficiencies within the environment and helping our clients get that more predictable outcome that they're looking for.
Predictability is very important too in running a business these days. So, Chris, tell me, how easy is it to deploy and use LogicMonitor solutions? They sound like they're really easy to use from what I've gathered from you, but why don't you tell me about that?
So the deployment itself is actually very straightforward, and there are some best practices and what I refer to as prudent practices on the deployment methodologies over the years. And some of those are tribal knowledge of just working with the platform for as long as we have. But to get the product up and running and to get the platform up and running can take a couple of minutes to an hour or two, and you can start collecting data. You can start getting actual information and intelligence around your infrastructure. And then it's a matter of putting in the effort and the time and the patience in order to tune that environment to individual clients and individual platforms themselves. But to get it up and running, it's actually very quick.
Well, let's talk about what we've all faced over the last 2 years. The pandemic, it challenged many businesses to speed up their digital transformation. What were your customers demanding from CDI over the last year and a half, and how did LogicMonitor enable you to deliver?
Well, that ties directly into the last question. So it's really been about the speed to deployment and the agility of the platform that allows us to move with clients and infrastructure and enterprises that were dealing with an unprecedented change in the way that they were going to market and the way they were working on a day-to-day basis. My favorite example is we had a client who had 7 locations. And the day after the pandemic hit, they went from 7 locations to 7,000 in 7 locations because they sent all 7,000 of their employees home. And the way you manage that is different. The way you operate that is different. The way you react to those incidents within the environment, because the fault domain becomes a lot smaller, but you get 7,000 more fault domains within your environment. So understanding the effect of making it a distributed workforce was amazing. The other thing that was kind of interesting in some of the things that were going on is we saw a quick adoption in our clients from a Azure, AWS, GCP perspective due to the I need to have 7,000 employees working from anywhere or 7 employees working from anywhere, but they still need to be able to communicate as if they are in the same office or down the hall from each other. So the adoption rates of WebEx and Teams and Zoom was astronomical, but being able to monitor those platforms to understand what the results were and how it was performing, who was leveraging those assets. So therefore we could have a different conversation with the client saying, we have monetary investments in X, Y, and Z platform, but the utilization of them is so low that maybe we should just sunset them and focus our efforts in on this. And we had a different conversation with our clients around the business transformation that they were trying to go through. And let's face it, we all kind of went through it on the fly at the same time.
So, Chris, you've already explained some really amazing stories that you've had with LogicMonitor, but could you tell me one success story in particular in which LogicMonitor helped you win an opportunity with a customer?
Sure. So the client, not to be named at this part, was an existing client of CDI's. We've been working with them for about a year, and we were doing all of the network monitoring and management across, I think it was around 70 different locations. All the switching, the firewalls, the routers, the wireless access points, the WAN, the LAN, all of it was under the watchful eye of CDI's operations staff, leveraging the LogicMonitor platform, and things were going along quite well. Back in December, just about a year ago, I got a phone call from the CIO saying that they are effectively blind to the 2,500 servers that are also running in their application because they shut down the existing monitoring platform that they had, and they had no visibility into what was actually going on at the application or the server or the storage level, and wanted to know how quickly we could get them turned on to our platform and our monitoring and just escalations predetermined back into their environment. Within 5 business days, and I think you called me on a Monday, so it might have been by Friday, we had all 2,500 servers imported into the LogicMonitor platform under CDI's management and had the escalation procedures and escalation paths in place. We were then notifying them of alerts and deviations to normal in their environment. The other interesting thing was it actually uncovered about, I think the count was around 60, 65 critical elements within their environment that they did not realize were distressed or degraded. So we were able to sit down and have a different conversation with them about, hey, here's the alerting patterns and here's the problem and incident management that we're putting together for you on a day-to-day care and feeding basis. And here are 65 other problem areas that we probably need to address very short term so they don't cause outages and incidents to your infrastructure over the next several weeks or months.
Chris, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. That brings us right into part 3. LogicMonitor and the channel. So Michael, we're going to go back to you for this question. What investments is LogicMonitor making in the channel?
First off, I want to thank again to say thank you to all of our channel partners and specifically to Chris and CDI. LogicMonitor is a channel first business, and our channel partnerships globally continue to thrive. In the pandemic years of 20 and 21, as the world moved to what Chris described as a work from home model, we saw a real opportunity to assist our channel partners in growing, and we formed a partner or channel go-to-market team. This team was pretty unique, but it was a team that was chartered with developing assets, ROI tools, sales training kits, since a lot of the sellers of our channel partners were now working from home instead of in the offices, creating digital content and other resources for our partners. Resources included other things like when you're building a service practice, how do you price your services? How do you measure your services? Is there a way to expand your line card or your menu of services using a product like LogicMonitor? And we named this program the LogicMonitor Fast Track Partner Program. And I got to tell you, it has been a large success. And it's actually been utilized by many of our partners to actually power through and experience some pretty tremendous growth despite the challenging past couple of years. In addition, over this period, we as a company, Katie, have grown about 80+%. We've had phenomenal growth in the past 2 years, and this has allowed us to bring more and more channel-specific resources into our business across literally every area. More people focused on the product that Chris is using, more professional services people, more marketing resources for the channel, customer success people in the channel. Quick story on that. I mean, our customer success organization is so vital. It's one thing to purchase LogicMonitor, but how do you utilize it and how do you become successful with it and how do you ensure your people are trained on it? And we've really expanded significantly with that organization. We've added more salespeople and also a lot more technical engineering staff. So all of that is designed to really help our channel motion grow and expand.
Well, Michael, you talked so thoroughly about support and helping your partners and helping them grow as businesses too. How does LogicMonitor help partners go to market faster and more efficiently?
Yeah, we think about this question a lot in our conversations with our partners, and really we try to define 4 key motions with our channel partners, and consider this an evolution. The very first motion that we would have is going out to a potentially net new partner, like we did Chris 7 years ago, and we talk to them about displacing the legacy tooling for their internal and their customer environments, and we call this landing. And there's a whole set of reasons that we work through our partners as to how we can be more efficient for them, drive better adoption, drive better observability, et cetera. But that is the landing component of it. The second part, our teams begin working with the customers on ideas and concepts around how to expand their business by adding additional customers. And that could include us assisting in demos. It could include pricing strategies. It could include a lot of things, but we call this expanding. The third motion that we see, and this is where we've had a tremendous amount of success over the past few years, is we define multiple paths to revenues for our partners that include sell to, resell, and referral options. I'll use Chris and CDI as a great example. Chris and his team operate a tremendously powerful LogicMonitor instance that he uses to provide monitoring as a service wrapped with full turnkey deployment, remediation, management, and escalation services, and other value adds that Chris and his business bring to the table. However, we also have a second motion with Chris, and that is we work with his direct selling team and we partner with them to go sell directly to customers as well. So that third motion is really key. We have the first, the second, but then we're engaging these other conversations where you may have customers that may not want to consume your LogicMonitor through Chris's managed service portal, but we're equipping and running side by side with his direct selling team for the resell and the referral options. And then finally, a key area that we pivoted to, and I think this area for us was highlighted during the pandemic when the selling organizations of our channels were not in the office, they were all distributed at home. We started thinking about how do we partner with the revenue leaders in our channel organizations to help them with digital efforts, with campaign creation, with sales training, digital assets, and tools that they can use to enable their field staff to be more successful in the markets that they serve. All 4 of these motions really are wrapped up into what we call the fast track program. So when someone becomes a partner of LogicMonitors, we introduce the concept of this fast track program where the assets live. We introduce them to our partner resources portal where they'll find literally dozens and dozens of valuable assets that they can use, from technical training to campaign creation to digital assets that they can adopt with their own logos and their own brand. But we introduce our customers to those things, all to help them use LogicMonitor and be more efficient in how they do so.
Michael, last question for you today. How can channel providers partner with LogicMonitor, and which solution providers in particular would make the most ideal partners?
I really love this question because we work with a very wide spectrum of managed service providers, really ranging from a 35-person business headquartered out of Atlanta, Georgia, all the way to regional powers out of New York, Chicago, London, or Sydney, to very large global entities. There's a lot of different types of customers that seem to find a very, very good fit for LogicMonitor. And let me explain what I mean by that. The ideal partner for LogicMonitor is a business looking to move up the operational maturity curve. We call it the operational maturity model, which starts at level 1 and goes all the way up to level 5. And let me explain what these are briefly. A level 1 customer might be growing. It's typically a smaller service provider, smaller channel partner, but their focus is typically on the S in SMB, and they only need a PSA or an RMM type of solution. They might need LogicMonitor, but they might be a little bit too early for LogicMonitor as well. Where we typically see the ideal customer coming into play is really what we call level 2, and that is maturing. And a maturing level 2 customer or partner is one where they are beginning to acquire larger customers and adding services to their portfolio, and they're beginning their tooling journey to support their business. And here is where we see some companies that really start that journey with LogicMonitor. Level 3, and this is an exciting one, is customers that have been through growing, they have been through maturing, and now they're into scaling. They're starting to serve larger customers. They're operating in blended deployment models. They're seeking process maturity increases, and they're starting to dive into the automation framework. And it's also where a desire for a single pane of glass for ITOM monitoring really begins in earnest. And it's also where we find customers looking to replace existing tools they grew up with or they inherited, or maybe they were part of an M&A acquisition. They have multiple different tools, and they're looking to start that single pane of glass concept. Level 4 is really all about optimizing. These are becoming the more larger service providers, channel partners, and more sophisticated, but they're all about the optimization play. They're serving the mid-market, and they're serving typically the small enterprise or medium-sized enterprise. But one thing is consistent here: they're dealing with complex environments, and they're dealing with the need for speed. They're beginning to add cloud services to the mix. They're beginning to scale with reproducible results, and that's a key word. They're looking for those reproducible results from client to client to client. Automation is the focus. Service delivery is a focus, and customer expectations and demands really equate to them needing to have enterprise level tooling. And then finally, level 5 is all about excelling. Customers in this category are typically large, very competitive in the markets that they play in. They're growing through mergers and acquisition, where their service delivery platform can scale with the business infinitely. It also allows them to actually plug and play M&A targets, where on-premise and near-premise and cloud and public cloud and private clouds are a must. And they're looking for a full on-process integration. From a tooling standpoint, they're looking at consolidation, optimization, full integration around not only LogicMonitor, but as even Chris described, around how do you integrate these with the other best-in-class tools to create the most efficient and optimized platform that you can. That's excelling. So Katie, our ideal customer really can live anywhere on the spectrum. I think the best customer for us is when we identify with them where they are in that journey and what are their goals to take steps into the next tier and the next tier, and how my team and the teams at LogicMonitor can support them in that journey.
Michael, Chris, that brings us to the end of today's webinar. And thank you both so much for joining me today and talking about this exciting opportunity with LogicMonitor. And thank you at home for watching our webinar, LogicMonitor, more than a monitoring platform, a true channel partner. Once again, I'm Katie Bavoso. Take care.